Greetings and blessed be. This is the Zen Witch here with another unboxing of a tarot deck. And today we are looking at how to use our freaking... Yeah, right. How to use our Streamlabs OBS. Today we are looking at the complete Arthurian Tarot, not to be confused with this one, which is Legend, the Arthurian Tarot by Anne-Marie Ferguson. I have reviewed this deck already. This is the complete Arthurian Tarot by Caitlin and John Matthews with cards illustrated by Miranda Gray. Includes classic deck with revised and updated course book. And on the side, we see the same thing there. We see Caitlin and John Matthews, cards illustrated by blah, blah, blah. And on the back here, a Hallow Quest for all seasons. Step into a world of myth and legend. This brand new collector's edition features the classic Arthurian Tarot deck with a completely revised and updated course book, allowing you to acquaint yourself with this rich tarot in greater depth. Journey into Arthur's kingdom through the 22 greater powers of the Arthurian realm, together with the 56 lesser powers, depicting the landscapes of Logres, L-O-G-R-E-S, no idea, the ancient Arthurian kingdom that lies outside of time. The book includes a complete meditation course leading you around the year, and with the characters of the Arthurian world as your guides and teachers, along with detailed card meanings, divination methods, and a wide selection of consultation spreads. By following the seasonal quest for the Hallows, the ancient treasures of the goddess of the land, you discover the spiritual empowerments of your soul's purpose. Meditate on the suits of sword, spear, grail, and stone to assimilate the teachings of the cards and establish your own access to the realms within the timeless kingdom of King Arthur and his court. Pack contains 78 cards, 240-page illustrated guidebook. Eddison Books Limited is the publisher. And this is a lovely boxing. I mean, it's a nice, sturdy box, beautiful. Again, I don't understand why the divots are here. I mean, I could put my thumb and fingers there and pull it open. I sure as hell can't there. And that's what these divots are for, is for your thumbs to go in while you open a box. So not sure why they put them there. If we can tease it out of the flippin' box. Okay, almost. Like I said, those divots serve no purpose. I can't open using those. Nothing inside there. We have a lovely, lovely full-size book. And let's look at the copyright date. This is first published in Great Britain in 2014. This edition published in 2018 by Eddison Books Limited. Text copyright Caitlin and John Matthews 2014. Card illustrations copyright Miranda Gray 1990, 2006, and 2014. So the illustrations have been around a lot longer than the text has. And you get this lovely box. I just did, what was the other one? The Wildwood Tarot last week, that it has the same exact setup with the box. Same size box, same exact inside the box and everything. And I really like it. So let's dump them out, shall we? This deck is just as chunky as that Wildwood was. And you can see how they've kind of been separated into two. They haven't slept together. All right, here we go. Let me push my microphone back. I'm starting to be a little more conscious of my sound quality here. It's kind of gone down a little bit lately. So here we have the Seeker, which is the Fool. Let's look at the back of the cards first. You can see more of a reflection of my camera than anything else. We popped in there for a hot second. There. Celtic knots. Beautiful Celtic knots. And kind of, I don't know if those are like snaky-like creatures. They certainly look like they have eyes. They look serpenty to me. So back we go to the Fool, who in this deck is the Seeker. looking out. He's looking out over the horizon, and there's a rainbow. This really echoes that that Wildwood deck where the fool was also stepping out onto a rainbow. So he's actually coming off of the cliff. Look at his feet. They're in midair. They are on that rainbow bridge. So he's really going off on an adventure here. This has the vibe of a journey, of a not mundane, a not physical journey, a journey of the spirit and the mind, and I really like that. Then we have Merlin as the magician sitting there with the twin dragons, and there's a tower and a roundhouse, and you see the old Celtic English clothing. And then we have the Lady of the Lake as the high priestess, and she's beautiful. I love the quality. I love the palette and the kind of color grading. I really like the vibe of this deck, and look at her towers are like the twin trees there. So Lady of the Lake. Guinevere is the Empress, of course. She's looking very Welsh, maybe. If you look at how the original spelling of her name is absolutely Welsh. Here is Arthur as the Emperor. And don't he look kingly? I think so. He's got a windsock, a dragon windsock, so that just shows maybe he's the son of the Pendragon. There's the spear, there's the sword across his lap. I see a burb. Don't know what kind of burb. Arthur, and then we have Taliesin, the wizard. Now, if you're a Mists of Avalon reader, Taliesin was the Merlin. The way they talked about in that book is the Merlin was a title, and Taliesin was his name. These are two different people here. Then we have, that's an awkward way to do that. Then we have the White Hart. One of my totems. A hart is a male red deer. So they are on the hunt for the white hart. Pridwen is... Come on. Oh my God, it drives me insane. So what we're seeing here is a shipwreck. We're seeing a shipwreck and a dragon in the sea. There we go. Thank you. And then we have Gawain as the strength card. So let me look here. So the White Hart is the lovers. This takes the place of the Chariot. And then we have Gawain. And, you know, I struggle each time not to keep referring back to classic tarot and comparing, because sometimes it gets too confusing. You have to take things on their own merit, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to be what I am. The Grail Hermit. And if I bring you back down, will you pop in now? Will you please, darling, please? I love you. You're the best camera in the whole wide world. I've never had a camera as incredibly good as you. Oh, fuck it. It didn't work. I thought compliments might help. The Round Table. That would be the Wheel of Fortune. Sovereignty. So in place of justice, we have sovereignty. Look at the flame at her crown chakra and the chalice that she's holding. Looks like a little weasel coming out of the water there. The Wounded King. There he is. The Washer at the Ford. This is in the place of the Death card. I'd like to look her up. The Cauldron. Look at the women. Tending the fire and cooking. The Green Knight. The Spiral Tower. The Star. The Comet. The Moon. That's pretty classic. The Sun. We don't have a baby bouncing on a horse, but we have a lovely naked young man, a youth, not a baby, but a youth. For the Sun, the Sleeping Lord is, oh, look at that. The Sleeping Lord is the Judgment card. The Flowering of L'Ogre. I'm assuming it has a Frenchish. Logres, if not. And look at the rainbows, and we've got a chalice and a stone and a spear and a sword. So we have all the elements there, and they're dancing in a circle. I'm going to take those majors out because this deck is pretty chunky to deal with. So now we have the suits, and we have the Sword Hallow, Sword 2. So departure, we're not seeing, we're seeing kind of like a gateway. We don't see the self-protective blindfolded person. Sword 3. Where are the 3 swords? Oh, I see. At least I see one. I see one here. Can you see? There's one. I will have to get bright lights. That looks a lot brighter to you than it does to me. The way I have my lights set up, it's a reflective thing, and it looks great on camera, but I can hardly see what I'm looking at here. Shooting at night. Sword 3, Sword 4. There we go. Sword 5. And we have a roundhouse burning down. And desolation in the landscape. So the 5 of Swords here is definitely defeat. And the aftermath of it. Sword 6, there's the boat. With only one sword standing up. So the cards don't necessarily depict like 6 of Swords. You will find 6 of them. There is one sword there. Sword 7. And, you know, it doesn't say 7 of Swords. It says Sword 7. So duh. Sword duh. And that one is being carried downstream, stuck in a something. Piece of wood. Sword 8. This idea of kind of being mired in the swamp. So that trapped feeling of the 8 of Swords translates here to you're in the middle of a swamp and you got to pick your steps very carefully or you can't get out, you know, being bound in. Sword 9. Ooh, look at the heads on spikes here. Yikes. So there's the Sword 9 and Sword 10. And here we have a very well protected, it looks like, roundhouse in the middle of the water. The departure from the 10 of Swords being utter defeat. Then we have the Sword Maiden, the Sword Knight, closer, closer, closer I get. The Sword Queen, and the Sword King. All right, let's put the swords down. Because again, they're a handful. Then we have the Spear Hallow. Spears being fire, swords are air. Spear 2. Spear 3. So we're in a wood here. I mean, it's just basically an image of a forest. There's the spear. Spear 4, where we look at building things together. So now we see a settlement. And look at the wreath on the spear here, indicating, you know, maybe a celebration or a wedding or something. There's spear 5. 6. The victory card being depicted as, yeah, planting your flag on the top of what you just conquered. Spear 7. Let's see, kind of like a dolmen or a passage. I mean, it's definitely a passage of sorts. Spear 8. Always the eight of wands, or this one too, that sense of movement, sense of something going swiftly from one place to another. Spear 9, which generally talks about boundaries. And we're talking about the shore here. I mean, that's a pretty solid boundary. Spear 10. And you see this fortified hilltop castle, so that you get really an indication of safety and victory and domain there. There's the Spear Maiden. The Knight. The Queen. Like she's offering. And the King. And then we have the Grail. So this is water. Take the place of cups. The Grail Hallow. Grail 2. Birds drinking from the cup. Grail 3. A laden table, so an indication of celebration and feasting. Grail 4. We see a tipped over grail here and a body of water. Grail 5. Certainly moving somewhere. So we see the cup on the sail and the ship is out in the water going somewhere. I'm looking for indications of what this means, and I'm not really getting it. I'm going to set that aside and take a look. Grail 6. So, yeah, the vibe of times past. This is obviously a tomb. So that, you know, idea of reminiscing from the 6 of Cups. It's thinking about things that have gone by. Grail 7. And there's a big castle. You're on the outside looking in. Grail 8. Looking into this church where there's an altar, and that looks like a goddess above it. So very pagan there. And then what do we have at the bottom but a spilled cup? So the wine, clearly wine, has been spilled outside of there. Interesting. I'd like to look at that too. Grail 9. Big cauldron. Grail 10. Again, a castle. So we got a lot of images of castles with not much else going on. There's a light inside here, so it looks like it's warm and inviting, but I don't get a real strong impression of what these cards are meaning. There's the Grail Maiden. The Knight, who is playing a harp. The Queen, holding the Grail at womb level, which of course it is a symbol of. And then the Grail King with his antlered crown. And then stones. It's like a chessboard. Stone Hallow. Again, looking down like a passageway here. Stone Hallow, Stone 2. What the heck is even going on here? Hard to say what's going on. I mean, we're looking out on clearly a frozen landscape, and there's a stone. Maybe that's a pointer of the way. I don't know. Stone 3 is the giant. Stone 4. treasure. Buried treasure. So there's that, you know, holding on to things. Stone 5. And we just see this one stone alone in the landscape. So again, I don't get real intuitive depictions of what's happening here. Here's the 6 of stones. There's a circle with a big fire in the middle. That looks inviting, if nothing else. I want to be dancing around that fire. Stone 7. A wall crumbling. So, you know, the idea of things that are, you know, strong and just sort of crumbling away. Stone 8. Do we get that sense of apprenticeship and skill? Yes, there are tools, something being carved. So that idea of practicing skills. Stone 9. Look at all the animals. We got a bear, we have a boar, we have a wolf, we have a partridge, and we have, I guess, a pair of partridges here, and then we have a stag. So this is definitely an abundant landscape. And then stone 10. Another castle. Just another frickin' castle. I mean, there's a lot of castles here that I don't see a lot going on with. Stone Maiden. The Knigget. The Queen. And the King. All right. So there's the images. Let's take a look at the book. Oh, and you know what? I lit my charcoal and I haven't put anything on it. Let's give this a... This is Fire of Azrael, which is for divination. So let's give this a nice little smoking with that. Let's not forget you guys. There we go. And then we're going to bless with the water and salt as well. And you guys too. Okay. So let's look at these 3 that I pulled out of here. I want to look at the washer at the ford. And let's just take a look at the book. I don't want to open it too far because I don't want to crack this binding. All right. Contents. The greater powers, the lesser powers, working with the cards. The Hallow Quest course. Preparing for the Hallow Quest. Quest for the sword, quest for the spear, quest for the grail, quest for the stone, and the way of the hallows. And then there's a study programmy. Okay. Introduction, the hallows, the 4 quests, the greater and lesser powers, Hallow Quest title, traditional title. Okay. So let's look at this. The Seeker is the Fool, Merlin is the Magician, Lady of the Lake is High Priestess, Guinevere is the Empress, Arthur is the Emperor, Taliesin's the Hierophant, the White Hart is the Lovers, Pridwen is the Chariot, Gawain is Strength, the Grail Hermit is the Hermit, the Round Table, the Wheel of Fortune, Sovereignty is Justice, the Wounded King is the Hanged Man, the Washer at the Ford is Death, the Cauldron is Temperance, the Green Knight is the Devil, the Spiral Tower is the Tower. The Star is the Star. Really? The Moon, the Sun, the Sun. The Sleeping Lord is the Last Judgment. And the Flowering of Logre is the World. Okay. So then it just tells you what the suits are and what they correspond to as far as element and season. Then it talks about the number cards. The aces represent the 4 hallows of early Arthurian tradition. The 2s signify finding direction. The 3s signify formalization. 4s are the first attempt to manifest your ideas. 5s, modification and adjustment. 6s, harmony. 7s, specialization and extension. 8 is organization. 9 is integration. And 10 is culmination. I like that. It's a new way to look at things. Maidens are messengers whose advice offers ways out of blocked situations. Knights are prime movers who actively demonstrate the strengths and weaknesses of their hallow. Queens are the bearers who channel the energies of their hallow. And kings are the guardians. So that's kind of cool. The sequence of the greater powers. So it goes through, let's see. There's a sequence within the greater powers that may not immediately be apparent to the reader. The seeker who sets out in the first card achieves maturity in the flowering of Logra, the 21st. The children to whom Taliesin tells his story both reappear within the seeker. Okay. And the children to whom Taliesin tells his story both reappear with the seeker at the end of his quest. Okay. Merlin, Lady of the Lake, Guinevere, and Arthur, and Taliesin represent the major figures of the Arthurian court. The White Hart, Prydwen, Gawain, the Grail Hermit symbolize the major themes of the Arthurian court: love, adventure, deeds of arms, and spiritual quest. So they go through this whole laid out journey here through the greater arcana. Then there's the cards and their meanings. Okay, here we go into Welsh. Said to Ronabwy, do you see the ring with the stone set into it upon the emperor's hand? I do, replied Ronabwy. It is one of the properties of that stone that you will remember what you see. It is one of the properties of that stone that you will remember what you see here tonight. If you had not looked upon it, you would have remembered nothing. And that's from the Dream of Ronabwy from the Mabinogion. Mabinogion? Welsh stories. Okay, so with the majors, you get the title, the Fool, and you get a description in a wasted land. Let's go straight to the one that I picked out, which is the washer at the ford, being the death card. And they do say what the traditional one is here too. The washer at the ford is the goddess of love and death, the dark face of sovereignty. She receives the dead warrior and challenges the callow candidate for the kingship when she appears as a hag who must be kissed. She is both Morgan, who receives the wounded Arthur for healing, and Modron, mother of Mabon. The raven is her bird. The washer at the ford is one of the oldest figures of death in Celtic tradition. Those who see her washing out bloody linen are normally warriors whose vision of her presages their pending death in battle. The Northwest European tradition is at variance with classical tradition in depicting a woman as the archetype of death. But this is the dark face of the goddess who, though she gives birth to all creation, gathers it all back at the end of time. I like this. I like that we are acknowledging that that's the other end of the wheel with the goddess, and the other end of her journey is birth is death. That completes the wheel. The Valkyries of Norse legend, the choosers of the slain, are not so very different from the threefold goddess, the Morrigan, who under her persona of Bav, Macha, and Nemain pick the battlefield clean in the form of ravens. Breton tradition also has its Lavandières de la Nuit, women who haunt streams at midnight washing linen. Yes, many Gaelic cultures, like the Gauls in Spain and Portugal, have this tradition too. The woman, the nightmare life in death, who dices with death in Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, draws on this very same tradition. The washer at the ford is one of the aspects of Morgan, who inherits the mythos attached to the Morrigan. Geoffrey of Monmouth describes her as Morgan, a goddess who receives Arthur into her island realm of Avalon, there to heal him of his wounds. Later texts make Morgan a mortal woman, but a powerful enchantress, like the Mists of Avalon, bent on bringing Arthur to his ruin. This development shows a fusion of early traditions and results in a character who is indeed aligned to the Morrigan of Irish myth. Elsewhere in oral Welsh tradition, she is called Modron, the Great Mother. It is she who is encountered by Urien of Reged at the ford of Barking. By him she conceives twin children, Owain and Morpeth. This Owain features in the Dream of Ronabwy and other romances of the Mabinogion, both as Arthur's champion and his opponent. Urien does not die in this story, for his encounter with Modron results in a birth, not a death. Modron is the mother of Mabon, and her search for him is comparable to Caradwyn's pursuit of Taliesin. Both women depict the archetype of the goddess as initiator. The washer at the ford is essentially a challenging figure, yet in tradition she is also known as the dark woman of knowledge because she is a teacher who initiates us into the knowledge of ourselves. And then you get a little box here that has upright, reversed, so you can go straight to meanings here. So you get mythology, you get a description, you get the mythology and all the different sources of that mythology, and then you get the meanings. Upright, the release of outworn ideas, stale relationships and old patterns. Ruthless yet compassionate action. Sexual union. Really? Ecstasy and renewal. I can certainly get to renewal. I can certainly get to ecstasy, which I imagine the moment of death is like the height of ecstasy because you're going into union with all, and that's where ecstasy on this plane can take you this close to it, you know. But so the ecstasy of death, I can certainly understand that. Sexual union, not so much. I don't get that one so much. I guess that, I've heard it called the little death when the little dude dies. I don't know. That's really, and you're not going to get any more description of it. So nowhere in that do I get the idea of where that concept comes from. It just gets hooked to that card. Reversed is resistance to change, stultification, and a living death. Questions, what do you need to let go of? Where can you engage completely? Okay, so I guess if you look at death, engaging completely as just the death of, I don't know, individuality, giving yourself over, union with, I'm not real sure. Engaging completely. What wants the opportunity to grow again? So we have some really interesting meanings for the death card in this deck. And I'm not sure I get them yet. Okay. Let's look at Grail 5. Okay, so let's go from the majors into the minors. There's the end of the majors, and then we have the lesser powers. Here is an old pack of cards that has done its work many a night before this, and old as it is, there has been much of the riches of the world lost and won over it. That is a quote from Red Hanrahan by W.B. Yeats. And then we have more of the Dream of Ronabui from the Mabinogi. Owain, will you play okay, GWYDDBWYLL. Gwethbwl, which means wood wisdom, said Arthur. I will, Lord, said Owain, and a red-haired youth brought the silver gaming board with its golden pieces and set it between them. Okay. So we have Sword Hallow, and we have a half a page for each card. You have the name of the card, you have a short description, you have some mythology, and then you have the upright, the reversed, and a question. So we have Grail 5 and Grail 8 were the ones that I pulled out. Okay, Grail 4. Here's Grail 5. A ship with the Grail on its sail makes little headway against swelling seas and heavy mists. So you can see the waves there pushing back against the boat. And 5 of Cups, I think it's that kind of stress card where the cups are spilling and somebody's looking very stressed and distressed. The mysterious ship of Solomon bore Lancelot to a meeting with his son Galahad. This was a time of great bitterness and disillusion for Lancelot, who learned that he could never achieve the Grail. Upright is disillusion, disappointment, vain regret, broken agreements or promises. And so that harkens back to the standard tarot. Reversed, learning from mistakes, assessing limitations, reunions, new friends. Question, what are you sorry for? New friends. Again, the images aren't going to give me that intuitively. So this looks like a deck that you're going to have to be looking things up with until you get it internalized. Grail 8, 2 candles burn on the altar of a chapel while an 8-sided chalice of wine spills upon the floor. Lancelot reached the very door of the Grail chapel only to be turned away, blinded and admonished for daring to come so close to the holy object while still living so much in the world. Upright, discontinuance of plans. Okay, so think about 8 of Cups, where you're walking away from that stack of cups. Discontinuance of plans, withdrawal of energies and desire. That's really good. Self-pity. Reassessment of old beliefs and values. Reversed is old debts paid, reinstatement, reinclusion, inability to commit. Question, what must be reevaluated? So let me look at... And we don't get any kind of a, like here's the Spear King and here's the Grail Hallow. We don't get any kind of an introduction to each individual suit in this section. You get that introduction in the main introduction. Then there's a section of working with the cards, formulating your question, the seasons. Each of the cards has dates attached to it. So each of the minor arcana. Okay, following questions can help you unlock difficult cards or spreads. This is interesting. So you can have these questions in mind when you're going through the deck initially. Which card has most power? Which cards indicate blockage? Which cards indicate free flow or movement? Which practical action does this card or spread suggest? How do I implement these? I need some more incense. Which cards inspire you? How? Which cards intrigue you the most? Enter it in meditation and find out why. So that's a nice set of questions for any deck when you're getting to know it. And here, like, we have the Sword Hallow is the 21st to the 27th of March, and it goes through the year. The Spear's Hallow is 20th to the 26th of June. So the Hallows are the solstices and equinoxes. And then the Sevens seem to hit the high holidays. So that would be interesting to look at as well. Interesting. So you can use the cards to look at timing of things. I like that. Then there's Arthurian Tarot spreads, Pridwin's Anchor. There's Mabon's Gate, the Pathways of the Quest, the Land's Adventurous spread, Shield of the Soul Protector. And then there's the Hallow Quest course. Preparing for the Hallow Quest, thou shalt receive the boon whatsoever thy tongue may name, as far as the wind dries, and the rain moistens, and the sun revolves, and the sea encircles, and the earth extends. Cool. And Owen. Again, let me bow to the decks that give pronunciations. Why wouldn't you? When something is spelled C-U-L-H, cool, W-C-H, cool, cool, coolech. See, I don't know what the W is in Welsh, and this doesn't give me any indication, so you're going to act like a blubbering idiot when you try to say these cards, like I am trying to say them to you. Lesson 1, meditation, diary keeping. There's a thing on breathing. There's a thing on meditation. A diary record, there's a meditation subject, and report, and wow, practice, daily tarot companion spread, lesson 2, the seeker in the wasteland, the fool's progress, lesson 3, the goddess of the land. So this takes you through a whole journey here, the 4 realms. This is really cool. The cauldron, the moon. So you go through a whole journey of initiation, really, here, it sounds like. You know, if you're going to be doing this deep kind of stuff. Oh, my God. Okay, hold on. So let's get through the Way of the Hallows here. The investiture of the stone. That sounds like an initiation. And then we have Part 6, the Way of the Hallows, the protection of the powers, invoking the powers, the withdrawal of the powers. So this is actually a circle. I invoke the protection of the powers, turn to each direction as you speak. In the east, I invoke Guinevere and Taliesin. May the loving power of the flower bride and the inspirational presence of the sweet singers be present. So you get a whole little ritual thing, and then the withdrawal of the powers. I give thanks for the protection of the powers. Then you have practice, the sanctuary of the Hallows, the Grail Company, and there's a spread there. The Sword Company, the Spear Company, the Stone Company, Earth Guardianship, and these are just more lessons. Oh my God. The Triads of the Quest. This is some seriously in-depth shit here. The Council of the Clans, the Council of Maidens, Augury of the Land. So the Council of Maidens, Knights, Queens, and Kings. Augury of the Land, practice. The Path Ahead. The Realms Within spread. And what I was getting to at the very, very back here, this study programmy, study PROGRAMME program, like Shoppy, Preparing for the Hallow Quest, Part 2, The Quest for the Sword. And then it has lessons listed. And at the very end here, looky, there's a song. There's a heckin' song tuned for the 4 seasonal Hallows rituals. So it gives you a tune to sing things to. I'm going to be looking into that. And then we have an extensive bibliography. When do you ever get that with the deck? Not often. About the authors, about the artist, and acknowledgments. Holy smokes. This has been a long video because this book is really intensely detailed. So, recommendations. I have not done a reading with this deck, so I can't tell you about the it factor. I can tell you that it has got my interest. I can also tell you I'm not going through this whole fucking program. But if you're a newbie and you're into the Arthurian legends and you want to take a journey, fuck yeah, why not? You know, this sounds like you're really going to be going into it. They are shuffleable, kinda. It's a chunker deck, but it seems like you can shuffle them and that they would acquiesce the more you use them. So, wow, you guys, pretty incredible. So, I'm very much into the Arthurian stuff. My father-in-law's name was Arthur. My son's middle name is Arthur. My daughter's name is Morgana. When my son was my daughter, when we thought he was a daughter, his name was Guinevere. So, yeah, I've always dug the Arthurian things, mostly through the Mists of Avalon, mostly through the women's telling. There was a lot that rang true in that. Marion Zimmer Bradley's history notwithstanding. So I'm going to put this back away. Let me know what you think of this. If you have it and you read with this, how does it work for you? Is it a good reading deck? Is the question. So I thank you for being with me for this long-ass video. There's a donation button below if you feel like shooting me $1 or $3. And there's also like and subscribe buttons down there. So thumbs up and subscribe. And I will see you on Friday with another Oracle unboxing. Until then, this has been the Zen Witch. Blessed be.